of general election campaigning. The focus? Thousands of apprenticeships, you were just hearing in the bulletins, with a promise to scrap what it calls rip-off university degrees that do not deliver. The Education Minister, Damian Hinds, actually Minister of State for Schools, joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning, Emma.
The take-up and completion of apprenticeships is low. It's gone in the opposite direction in the last few years under Conservative rule. Why are you choosing to back a policy that's not working?
Well, we've had a huge upgrade of apprenticeships and actually wider technical and vocational education as well. So it's really not comparing like for like to talk about apprenticeships, say last year compared to a decade or so earlier. We have made sure that there's a minimum amount of off-the-job training. We've made sure they're minimum length. We've created the Institute for Apprenticeships. We've made sure that apprenticeship standards now are designed by employers rather than the old framework. So there's been a huge increase in quality. And now that we've done that, now that we've had all those reforms, it is the right time to have a significant increase, a big increase in the number of apprenticeships. You know, the Labour policy would halve the number of apprenticeships. We want to grow them by 100,000 to make sure that we are maximising the available opportunities for young people and also supporting our business and our productivity.
2023, only at 54.6%.
So it is true that some young people start an apprenticeship and then they
don't complete them.
And then they take a different turn in their career. When they do that, they've accumulated, of course, skills and experience in that job, and they've been earning. But then they move on to a different job. That is true. And by the way, that has long been true in apprenticeships.
Is that comparable? Is that just before you move on? Sorry, just before you move on, is that comparable to the number of students that drop out of university?
No, it's not. It's on a different sort of level. But as I say, it's a completely different thing. If you start a university course, you're starting typically a 3-year course in which typically you're not doing work alongside.
No, I accept that. You're selling this to people today.
And so on. I'm sorry, say that.
You're selling this to people today. So yes, it might not be like for like. And you're also saying I can't use the numbers about the falling rates of apprentices because you've also upgraded them. But what is accurate?
Well, the number of apprentices is higher than when Labour were in government, just to be clear.
Okay, but we have
had this big...
You've been in power for 14 years. I would like to look at your record and I would like to look at what you've done, and I think it's fair on a the genuine curiosity here. I think it's fair when you're saying we're going to create 100,000 more.
Yeah.
If they're not sticking with them as they are, and you've significantly upgraded them, and you've got a low completion rate, it's hardly a big win and a big boast and a big selling point to the people it's affecting, young people.
No, look, as I say, it has always been the case that with apprenticeships, people take different career routes, and you might work part of the apprenticeship period in a job, but then you might get offered a better paid job somewhere else. That's career progression. That's good,
okay.
And you're benefiting from the training that you've had on that apprenticeship, which is related usually to the career you're going to be progressing further in. You've also been earning at the same time. But you say you want to measure us on what we've done. I mean, yeah, absolutely, please do. And when I say apprenticeship numbers are higher than under Labour, they are significantly higher.
It's not about Labour though. It's about your own record. If you've been in for more than a decade, it's time to look at your own record, and you've invested it.
That's what I'm doing. I'm comparing our time in government to
You're
the previous
the numbers.
time.
You're splicing the numbers. You say they can't be compared like for like with your own time in office, but they can be compared with Labour. And I think it's really important today. No. If I can just come on to this, because our time is precious. University courses here. Your Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, has said in The Telegraph, we will outlaw rip-off degrees so that no more students are lured onto courses that don't deliver the outcomes people deserve. Her words. Can you give me the top 3 degrees right now that are rip-off degrees in your department?
So, first of all, you genuinely cannot generalise about entire subject areas. In almost all course subjects, there will be some institutions delivering well and some not doing well. So, for example, you take computer science. You get earnings outcomes from young people studying computer science degrees, which will range from £18,000 to £80,000. So it's not about an individual subject, it's about specific courses. And the second thing that is important to say, the second thing I was going to come on to say is I genuinely don't think it would be right or fair to young people who are currently on an undergraduate course to have a politician come on the radio and name check that particular course that they are on. I genuinely think that would be the wrong thing to do.
It's your Education Secretary's choice to call them rip-off degrees.
but we have an independent body that we created called the Office for Students, and an objective analytical method that has objective measures, looking at things like completion rates, looking at things like who progresses from the first year of course to the second year, looking at, of the proportion of graduates, how many end up in graduate jobs. So there are ways of evaluating these things in a very fair way, not a lurid way.
Your Education Secretary,
of pinpointing specific cases.
If I may, I have to be able to respond to this. Your Education Secretary has chosen incredibly punchy language, rip-off degrees.
Yes.
Right, she's made that choice.
And she's right to do
and
so.
You
Look,
are
if,
right.
If you, if
Sorry,
you,
it
if
is
you
right.
don't
No,
even
may I finish the question? It is only right that she has thought through what those degrees are. What are they? Can you name just one?
Yes, there are measures already in place that measure the quality of degrees. It's not for politicians to say, I like that one, I don't like that one. There has to be an objective way of doing it. And the Education Secretary, forgive me, the Education Secretary is right to talk about some young people being ripped off. Look, if you do 2 years of a 3-year course and then drop out, you are left with very little from that time. You've given up a really, really important time of your young life. We want to make sure that 18-year-olds, whatever further course of study or training they're embarking on, that it should be high quality. We're not talking in this policy about stopping somebody doing a course they're currently doing. We're also not talking about saying to any individual, you can't go to university. Not at all. What we are saying is that if you've got a poorly performing course, actually it shouldn't be recruiting more students, and we need to be putting resource into those high quality opportunities, whether they're in university or they're in apprenticeship. And I think that's a good thing for helping to build a securer, brighter future for young people.
If I may,
I do need to come in.
I do need to come in at this point, if I may. The reason, just to make this clear to our listeners and take them with us, the reason I'm putting these two things together is because it's been said today that these rip-off degrees that you won't name, for reasons you've explained, and people may find that striking, will be scrapped under a new law as a way of funding this. These two things come together. And earlier on the programme, we heard from Neil Carberry, who's the Chief Executive of the Recruitment and Employment Confederation, the trade body for the recruitment industry, that you are using apprenticeships to denigrate certain courses at university. Hence why, A, it matters which courses you think are worth being traded out for apprenticeship funding, and B, that trade-off has not been welcomed by, as you can hear, business and by higher education.
Well, first of all, it's not my experience at all that business doesn't want to see high-quality apprenticeships and a growth in them, and also that business leaders wouldn't want to see, high-quality, good value for time as well as money degrees, and young people being given the best opportunities. I mean, you talk about denigration. I specifically have not said, I can list you, here's a headline subject that I want to denigrate. Absolutely not.
No, but your Education Secretary has teased that, and you now won't say it.
No, she hasn't.
She has in that language.
She has rightly said there are some individual courses that are poor value, and that is true.
Was yours good value? Just final moment together. True. What was yours at your degree, and was it good value? Was it a rip-off?
Look, I valued my time at university, and we have great universities in this country. We have, fantastic opportunities across education, and these days we have very, very high quality apprenticeships as well. And we want to, the Labour Party want to halve the number of people going on an apprenticeship. We want to grow that, and we want to make sure that every young person, whatever their route, is presented with a really high quality choice and the best possible opportunity.
Damian Hinds, Education Minister, thank you.
16 minutes to 8. Just a further piece of political